Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Tiffany and today I want to talk about why tarot cards work. So this has come up because I had a conversation with a friend a few weeks ago who shared with me kind of sheepishly that she felt like tarot cards were demonic. So it got me thinking about why I think tarot cards work and where I think they come from. It got me thinking about why I don't think they're demonic. And so I did a bit of research, and so what I'd like to present to you today is 3 theories as to why tarot cards work. And there are lots of other theories out there, I just want to say that, but I'm going to hit on the top 3. And then before I get into that, I just want to share something. Tarot cards are just cards. They're just like playing cards, and they really take on the meaning that we assign to them. If you think tarot cards or oracle cards are evil, then that's going to be the meaning that they take on for you. Think of it like alcohol, for example. Alcohol is often used as wine to represent the blood of Christ in religious ceremonies, right? And in that context, alcohol is a good thing. But people can also drink alcohol and, basically kill themselves by drinking alcohol and becoming an alcoholic. So that's when alcohol becomes a bad thing. So it's not the tarot cards itself. It's not the alcohol itself. It's like the meaning that we put behind it. It's how we use that tool. In my opinion, tarot cards are best used to inform what is going on in the present, not so much in the future. There can be some interesting results as far as the future, but really tarot cards are here to shine a light on what's going on in the situation, what's going on within your subconscious, what is the thing that needs to be highlighted or that is important for you to really look at in the situation at hand. And they really are about seeing ourselves more clearly. It's really about seeing the situation more clearly. So the first theory is synchronicity and patterns. So synchronicity is a concept that was coined by Carl Jung, the psychologist, and basically he brought up synchronicity as a way to explain the accuracy of the Chinese I Ching. Because the Chinese I Ching is known, especially from a divination perspective, to be pretty accurate. And he was trying to find a reason why this divination tool would be so accurate most of the time. So synchronicity is when there are 2 separate experiences or 2 separate events that happened in close proximity to each other or at the same time, and then we as the human being in that dynamic assign meaning to it. So even though there's no evidence that one links to the other, we assign that meaning. Similar with patterns in our world, right? The human mind is going to assign personal meaning to symbols that they see, to images, to interpretations of the different tarot cards. So let me give you an example of synchronicity. So synchronicity looks like I'm thinking about my friend and then she calls me or sends me a text message. That feels psychic. It feels magical, right? It feels like, oh my gosh, I summoned her or I was like connected to her in some way. Synchronicity also looks like me, and this actually happened. I pulled the tarot card for the Tower. The Tower represents falling of structure, breakdown of structure, things tumbling down. It represents like sudden change, abrupt change, and a lot of times it can be painful change. I pulled the Tower card for March of 2020, and as we all know, that's when the pandemic happened. So you can look at that as synchronicity, right? I pulled the Tower card. It represents a big change, a drastic change, a shift. And then I pull that card and then the pandemic happens, right? So I'm assigning that meaning between the card that I pulled and then life events actually happening. And this is how, in my personal opinion, this is how the magic of tarot cards works. To me, this is the biggest factor. This is my personal belief, but I'm going to get into some others in a second. And then lastly, I just want to give you an example about patterns. So as a human beings, when we're seeing patterns and things, so the best example I have for seeing patterns is the number 1111, right? We see 1111 and we assign it as an angel number, a manifestation number. We see the number 1 or the number 11 as having a certain energy, right? And so that's when the human mind is seeing patterns in things and then assigning meaning to it. when it comes to tarot cards specifically, if you do a layout, if you do a spread and you're doing a reading for yourself or you're doing that reading for somebody else, and there's a lot of pentacles in that spread, we immediately assign that to, oh, we're talking about material world, we're talking about money things. And so what happens is the person who's getting the reading or doing the reading is going to say, okay, money, right? Money is a big theme in your life right now. And so therefore that person takes that message of, okay, I have some stuff going on around money, and then they take that information. But we're assigning the meaning to multiple pentacles cards coming up in a spread, right? And again, this isn't bad. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, I think this is how it works. This is one of the mechanisms in play. This is my personal opinion and how tarot cards work. The second theory I'd like to share as far as why tarot cards work is because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So this doesn't just apply to tarot cards. It also applies to any form of divination. So think about the I Ching, think about reading tea leaves, palmistry, like all these other things. And so what it means is that if the cards predict a positive or a negative outcome with the situation at hand, so somebody's going to get a reading, the tarot cards are put down, and the outcome says it's positive. What happens is it's more than likely it gets into the psyche of that person, and they begin to make decisions that lead them to a positive outcome. In the case where the tarot cards are suggesting that maybe the outcome isn't desirable, then that person is feeling like, oh no, why should I try, right? It triggers something inside of them, and they take actions or take steps that probably lead to an outcome that is not desirable. So in my opinion, this is kind of like, just to give you a really practical example in relationships, because I see this happen all the time. If you have an individual who's very insecure and they always believe their partner is cheating on them or might cheat on them or is at risk of cheating on them, they are putting out, without really realizing it, this energy of distrust, which their actions, the things that they say, the way they interact with their partner, makes it more likely that that partner is going to cheat, because it gets to a point where it's like, okay, well, this person thinks I'm going to anyway, I might as well, right? And it's almost like this self-fulfilling prophecy of the thing that we put our energy into, the thing that we believe is going to happen is more likely going to happen. If you believe you're going to fail a test, and even though you're studying really hard, but you still think I'm going to fail this test, you will probably more likely fail the test, because that fear is just going to take over and really result in that self-fulfilling prophecy. Let me give you another example from my real life. So my dad was born in communist Czechoslovakia. When he was 16, he escaped and he went to Austria, and then he came to the United States. Before he escaped, though, he went and had a psychic reading done, and she had put down tarot cards. And in that reading, she had told my dad, hey, you're going to go over a big body of water, you're going to get married, and you're going to have 2 girls. What's interesting about that is my dad did escape. He did go over a big body of water, the Atlantic Ocean, to go to the United States. He did meet my mother, and he did have 2 daughters. But it was self-fulfilling, right? We can't say, we could say the psychic predicted it and the tarot cards predicted it, but we could also say it's self-fulfilling. My dad made the choice to make a run for it and escape communism in Czechoslovakia. And we could also say that my dad, because I do know this for a fact, as soon as he had the 2 of us, me and my sister, he got fixed. So in a way, it's almost like he self-fulfilled the prophecy that he was going to have 2 daughters, even though my mom wanted to have more kids. So this is how tarot cards can work, especially when it comes to the divination or future seeking aspect. So the last theory that I'd like to share with you, and again, there are other theories and you can research them, but it's about the energy of the individual. So there is a belief out there, and I do subscribe to this as well. So I would tell you my belief is a combination of, I think tarot cards work because it's a combination of synchronicity and the energy of the person. So let's talk about the energy of the individual and how that impacts the card. So there is this belief that we all have energy, right? I talk a lot about human design. We know we have auras. We know that we are made of energy, right? So the idea is that when that person is shuffling the cards, so if you ever go to get a psychic reading, this is why very often they will hand the deck over to you and say, please shuffle the cards, because you are getting your energy into the cards. And the idea is that the energy of your unconscious and your intuition is going into the cards. So the cards that do come up in the spread and that do come up in the reading are really tapped in to your intuition. They're tapped into your own subconscious, and that the messages that come out are the ones that you need to hear. So this is a very simple theory. And again, like I said, I think it's both synchronicity and the energy of the individual. I think it's these two things, and that's how I think tarot cards actually work. All right, so that's all I have to share with you today. If you have any questions, please let me know.